All right, Heather, Foreign Policy center stage at last night's debate as we continue our week-long series, World on Edge, investigating global hotspots that may impact our national security. Today, we're headed to Europe, where there are fears this morning that up to 5,000-plus jihadi wannabes have returned to the region after being trained at terror camps. Gillian Turner, Fox News contributor, former White House security staff member under Presidents Bush's and Obama, here to talk about that. Gillian, in Europe, they are extremely worried about this, but is the cat out of the bag?
It is. You know, the real new face of terrorism in Europe now is radical Islam. ISIS has made tremendous inroads into the EU this year. They have successfully executed major attacks in the heart of Western cities like Paris and Brussels. They have set up weapons trafficking and money laundering rings inside the continent, and they've also now penetrated the waves of refugees from North Africa and the Middle East.
And just as we get a perspective, in case you're not sitting eating breakfast with your globe, you could see the Western Europe, and you could see how close it is to the Middle East and to North Africa through the Mediterranean, and you see the passageway. Yeah, there's true. There's people desperate with their children, running for their lives because over 200 to 400,000 have been killed in and around the Syrian area. But look at what's happening to these countries. First, Germany says tens of thousands can come my way. Hungary look like the bad guys. They said nobody comes in here. Now they look like the smart guys.
Well, look, the reality is that Europe generally has been completely overwhelmed. These are just unprecedented numbers of refugees that are flowing in from the Middle East and North Africa. None of these countries are prepared to deal with this. I think that the reality is that because of the loose border restrictions, border laws inside the EU, once these refugees arrive on EU soil, there's not much ability to track where they go. They can go anywhere.
All right, so we look at what's happened in Paris, where martial law is still in place. We know about the Charlie Hebdo attacks. We know about what happened last year in Paris. They didn't go to the tourist areas. They went to the places where the people who live there hang out and felt ultimately secure. And now they're trying to gut out areas in which they had investigations and watch situations where would-be, maybe wannabe terrorists have been ripped out by the root, perhaps. Then they look over to Belgium and they see a huge problem there. You say if you want to begin to solve this, look at NATO. In what way? Well,
NATO has a really big potential role to play here in helping to stem the tide of these refugees, to police the waters, to help ensure the collective defense of the EU. Whether or not they step up to the plate is something that remains to be seen. But over the coming years, NATO is really not just focused on the East anymore, on Russia's aggression. They're going to be focused on the South, the Mediterranean, looking to those waves of refugees who are coming in. This is the new threat.
And let's come around in full circle. As you see the way different countries have handled it, what can we learn? What candidates do you feel as though made you feel that they got it and understood the potential terror threat here at home?
Well, I have to say that I'm completely not on board with the Trump way of looking at the refugee crisis. I think that we can continue to accept refugees from these countries in the United States and protect our national security. I don't think we have to choose. Our border patrol, our law enforcement, and our military is the best in the world. And so far, we've been really good at thwarting terrorist attacks, foreign terrorist attacks on U.S. soil. Not a single successful one since 9/11. I've got a lot of trust and a lot of faith in their ability to screen these people.
Although you did have San Bernardino, and they did...
Well, but those were more lone wolf-style attacks, people who were inspired by radical Islamic ideology, not members of ISIS.
Well, they did train in Pakistan, the woman. Right.
Yes, but what I mean to say is that this was not a foreign terrorist operation. Right. It was not planned and executed at ISIS headquarters in Raqqa. This was people acting more on their own.
Gillian Turner, great job all week. Fantastic insight about the threat here at home and how it plays into who the next president of the United States will be. Appreciate it, Gillian.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
No problem.